to show off for his little trailer park trash. He trying to show off. You know how he do. He ain't got nothing else to do, so he ain't got nothing else to talk about, so he got to get on live and talk about me. I'm out here shopping in Puerto Rico. You picked that broke bitch. You should have at least picked the bitch that got a couple dollars.
Watch your mouth, baby.
You too broke to be picking broke bitches. Make it make sense. You should have did better than that. I taught you better than that.
No, but that's that purse.
Out here with these bums talking about me. We ain't even in the same area, Coach. How you out here talking about me with some bums? He's a weirdo. He mad because he got stuck with a bum baby mama. You're mad. You're mad because I told you so. They be so mad at me. All my kids be mad at me. Mad because I told them. I told you, don't take your ass down there to the bottoms trying to flip no bitch. What'd he do? Went right to the bottom. Now he mad at me because he got another baby mama. Boy, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Okay? I told you not to go down there fucking with them people. Now you done went down there and made it with them. You done went down there and mated with them. Running our bloodline through the ground. You ain't took my people's blood over there. The Lord already told me that's your daddy's blood you taking over there. Playing Russian roulette with your daddy's blood. Not mine. Girl, he over there talking about his mama with another bottom. Like, how? You're a weirdo. You gotta be like the slowest on the planet. I could see if you was talking about me to Stunner Girl. Or if you was talking about me to like
Go ahead, man.
with some parents. Like
Hey, we meet you there.
401k or something. You down there talking about me with the bottom. You sound crazy as that ain't never been on the block I ever been on. Ever. Now you mad. You mad because you got another trailer park baby.
Come on, man. We in Puerto Rico, back. Come on.
He mad because he got another trailer park baby. That's your bloodline, boy. You down there mixing your bloodline with that bull.
This is not a normal rant. This is a full-blown verbal hurricane. And somehow Karlissa Saffold just spun the block on Blueface and Nevaeh like she had years of receipts loaded and ready to fire. 1 minute, everything looked like your usual. Internet tension. The next minute, Boom Karlissa is on a whole different level, talking like she's been waiting for this exact moment to unload. And the internet, oh, it didn't just watch. It froze, rewound, and said, hold on. She said what? Because when Karlissa goes off, it's never just noise, it's cinematic chaos. It's giving WWE promo energy mixed with reality TV. Betrayal and a sprinkle of family feud turned public spectacle. And the craziest part, this wasn't random. This felt calculated, like she had been sitting on these thoughts, watching everything unfold, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Now here's where it gets spicy, because Blueface and Nevaeh didn't exactly stay silent either, oh? No, they were moving like side characters who accidentally triggered the main villain arc. Subtle comments, little reactions, energy that felt just disrespectful enough to push things over the edge. And Karlissa, she caught all of it. Every tone, every word. Every hint of shade down, she was not letting it slide. And the internet, immediate. Chaos, fans choosing sides like it's the Super Bowl of drama. Some screaming Karlissa finally said what needed to be said, while others are like, nah, she went way too far this time. Meanwhile, memes are being created in real time, clips are going viral before the rant even finishes. And suddenly everybody thinks they're a relationship expert analyzing family dynamics they don't have. And fully understand, but here's the twist that flipped everything. Because what Karlissa said wasn't just a reaction, it sounded like she knew things that haven't fully come out yet. The kind of statements that make you pause and think. Wait, is there more going on behind the scenes? And if even half of what she hinted at is real, let's take it all the way back. Because what looks like a sudden explosion from Karlissa Saffold didn't just happen overnight. No, this was simmering for a long time. Like a pot left on the stove with nobody watching, slowly building pressure until it had nitrogen monoxide choice. But to blow, And the wild part? Everybody saw little pieces of it coming, but nobody expected it to hit this hard. Now, if you've been paying attention, you already know the dynamic between Blueface and Karlissa has always been, let's just say, complicated. It's never just mother and son, its opinions, public commentary, messy back and forth energy that somehow always finds its way onto the internet. And when you add outside voices into that mix, yeah, things get real unpredictable real fast. Enter Nevaeh. Now, whether people want to admit it or not, her presence in this situation shifted everything. Because suddenly, it wasn't just internal tension anymore, it became layered. New dynamics, new interactions, new energy that didn't sit right with everybody involved. And from the outside looking in, you could tell Karlissa was clocking a of it. At first, it was subtle. Little comments here and there, slight reactions that most people would scroll past without thinking twice. But the internet, oh, they don't miss a thing. Screenshots started popping up, clips getting replayed. People connecting dots like they were solving a mystery. And slowly but surely, what seemed like small moments started stacking up into something bigger. Blueface, as usual, was moving like chaos is part of his personality, dropping reactions. Engaging just enough to keep people talking, but never really clearing anything up. And that's the thing, when you don't explain yourself online, the internet will do it for you. And trust me, their version is always 10 times messier. Meanwhile, Karlissa wasn't loud yet, so she was watching. And that's where people messed up. Because when she's quiet, that doesn't mean she's okay, it means she's collecting, observing, letting everything build until she's got enough to respond with full force. And once she started speaking, it wasn't just one issue, it was everything at once. And the way she came in, oh, it wasn't soft, it wasn't polite. It was straight to the point, no filter, no hesitation. She wasn't just addressing Blueface, she was calling out behavior, energy, patterns that she clearly had a problem with. And when Nevaeh's name got pulled into it, that's when the tension really started rising. The internet immediately picked up on the shift, because now it wasn't just background drama, it was direct confrontation. Fans started replaying every clip, trying to figure out what exactly triggered this level of response. And the more they looked, the more they realized this wasn't about one moment, this was buildup. Old feelings resurfacing, past disagreements, never fully resolved, things that were brushed off before suddenly being dragged back into the spotlight. And once that door opened, there was no closing it again. Then came the reactions. People flooded the comments. And just like that, the internet split into teams. Some were backing Karlissa, saying she finally spoke her truth, that she had every right to address what she felt was disrespect. Others were side-eyeing the whole situation, saying it felt too public, too intense, like things that should have stayed private were now being turned into entertainment. And let's not forget the trolls, because while serious conversations were happening, you already know there were people turning everything into jokes. Memes started popping up before the situation even had time to settle, clips being edited, exaggerated captions making everything feel even more dramatic than it already was. But here's where things took a turn, because as more clips surfaced, people started noticing inconsistencies. Not just in what was being said now, but in what had been said before. Old statements didn't line up. Past actions started looking different in hindsight. And suddenly the narrative wasn't so clear anymore. It went from who's right to wait, what's actually going on here? And that question, that's what pushed everything into the next level of chaos. Because once people start questioning the story, they don't stop. They dig deeper, they analyze harder. They start connecting things that nobody was paying attention to before. And right in the middle of all that, Karlissa kept talking, not slowing down, not backing off. If anything, she was getting more direct. And every news statement added another layer to the situation, making it harder and harder to figure out where the truth actually sat. Blueface, still unpredictable. Nevaeh, still part of the conversation whether she spoke or not. Now this is where Everything completely spiraled out of control because once Karlissa Saffold went from addressing the situation to full-on airing it all out, the internet didn't just react, it combusted. I'm talking about timelines moving faster than breaking news, comments stacking like courtroom evidence, and people refreshing their feeds like their life depended on the next update. And somehow, right in the center of this digital tornado, Blueface and Nevaeh kept doing just enough to keep the fire alive. Because here's the thing, Karlissa didn't just speak once and log off. Oh no, she kept going. Each response louder, sharper, and more direct than the last. It felt like she had unlocked a whole vault of thoughts she'd been holding in. And now there was nitrogen monoxide filter. No pause button. No PR cleanup crew coming too. Save the moment. It was raw, messy, and completely uncontained, and the internet was glued to every second of it. And just when you thought things couldn't get more chaotic, boom, the memes hit like a tidal wave. Clips of Karlissa's rant were already circulating before she even finished talking. People were remixing her words into sound bites, reaction videos, parody edits, you name it. 1 minute it's a serious situation. The next minute it's a trending audio with captions like "when you've had ENOUDH." The internet wasted zero time turning emotional energy into viral entertainment. But don't let the jokes fool you, because behind all the humor, there was a serious divide forming. Some viewers were riding hard for Karlissa, saying she finally exposed behavior that needed to be called out. Others, not so much. They were like, nah, this went too far. And suddenly, the comments weren't just reactions, they were debates, heated, emotional, full-on arguments playing out in real time. Meanwhile, Blueface kept moving like a wild card in a game nobody fully understood, dropping small reactions, subtle posts, little hints that made people feel like he was watching everything unfold without actually stepping in. And that energy, oh, it had people side-eyeing heavy. Because the less he explained, the more suspicious everything started to feel. And then there's Nevaeh, because her involvement. It kept raising questions every single time, whether she posted or stayed silent. Her name kept coming up at the most chaotic moments. And the timing, yeah, people noticed. It felt like every time things started to cool down just a little, something would pop up that dragged the tension right back to the surface. Now let's talk about the contradictions, because this is where the plot twisted like a Netflix show trying to outdo itself. Old clips started resurfacing, stuff people had forgotten about or ignored before suddenly became relevant again. Past comments didn't line up with current statements. Energy that once seemed harmless now looked questionable. And the internet, oh, they turned into full investigators. Wait, didn't they say something different last time? Hold on, this doesn't match up. Now, something's off here. And just like that, the narrative started shifting, e.g. AIN, because now it wasn't just about who said what, it was about the bigger picture, the timeline, the patterns, the way everything connected in ways people hadn't noticed before. And Karlissa, still going strong. That's the wildest part. Most people would have stepped back by now, maybe let things settle, give themselves a breather. Not her. She leaned all the way in, every response carrying more weight, more intensity, like she was determined to make sure her voice wasn't just heard, it was felt. And the more she spoke, the more the internet split. You had one side saying, she's standing on business, another side saying, this is spiraling. And then you had the spectators who were just there for the chaos, refreshing their feeds like it was the latest episode of a show they couldn't stop watching. Then came the outside reactions. Not direct names, not clear call-outs, but those little shady posts that everyone knows are connected. You know the vibe, some people need to, or funny how things come out when. The kind of posts that don't say much but still say everything. And suddenly, this situation wasn't just contained to 3 people, it was spreading into a wider circle. Now here's where things got even deeper. People started noticing patterns in timing, like how certain posts lined up a little too perfectly with Karlissa's responses. how certain reactions felt almost triggered on purpose. And that's when the conspiracy theories kicked in. Is this planned? Is this clout? Or is this something way more personal than we think? Because at this point, nothing felt random anymore. Everything felt like it had a reason, even if nobody could fully explain what that reason was. And the scariest part, the situation had grown way beyond its original spark. This wasn't just about a comment or a post, or even one rant anymore. It was layers of tension stacking on top of each other until it became something that felt almost uncontrollable. And just when people thought they had a grip on what was happening, something new started bubbling under the surface. And just when everybody thought the chaos had peaked, the situation flipped into something way deeper, way heavier, and honestly, way more uncomfortable than people were ready for. Because once the noise settled just a little, what was left wasn't just drama, it was damage. And right in the middle of that fallout stood Karlissa Saffold, still loud, still unapologetic. While Blueface and Nevaeh kept moving like unpredictable pieces in a game nobody fully understands. At first, it didn't hit instantly. The memes were still circulating, the clips still trending, people still debating like their opinions were going to change the outcome. But slowly, that energy started shifting. Because once you replay something enough times, the jokes start fading and the reality starts creeping in. And suddenly, people weren't just laughing, they were analyzing the aftermath like, okay, this might have gone further than we thought. Karlissa's words didn't disappear, they echoed. Every clip, every statement, every heated moment kept resurfacing, getting replayed, dissected, and judged from every possible angle. And that's when even some of her supporters started hesitating. Not switching sides, but questioning the intensity, like, was all of that necessary? Because there's a difference between speaking your truth and setting everything on fire, and a lot of people felt like that line got completely erased. Meanwhile, Blueface's role in all this became even more confusing because the more silent or selective he was, the louder the situation felt. People started building their own narratives around his behavior. Some painted him as someone who triggered everything and stepped back to watch the chaos unfold. Others thought he was just letting things play out without realizing how big it was getting. Either way, his lack of clarity only made things messier. And Nevaeh, her name never left the conversation. Even when she wasn't actively posting, she was still being discussed like she was at the center of everything. Some believed she was caught in the crossfire. Others felt like she played a bigger role behind the scenes. But regardless of perspective, one thing stayed consistent: her presence changed the dynamic in a way that couldn't be undone. Now here's where things took a turn nobody expected. Because behind all the noise, something subtle started happening: reflection. Yeah, actual reflection. In the middle of internet chaos, people began going back, not just to the start of this situation, but even further: old videos, past interviews, previous arguments, all of it started resurfacing. And when you line everything up side by side, patterns, clear, undeniable patterns. And once people saw those patterns, the entire situation started looking different. Less like a random explosion, and more like something that had been building for a long time. Cycles of tension, repeated clashes, moments that were ignored or brushed off before suddenly making sense in a bigger timeline. And that realization, it changed everything. Because now it wasn't just about who was right or wrong, it became about behavior, about how situations escalate when nothing ever truly gets resolved, about how things that seem small in the moment can stack up until they explode in a way nobody can control. And in this case, that explosion already happened. Relationships that once looked messy but manageable now felt completely fractured. Lines were crossed publicly, words were said that can't just be taken back, and trust to whatever version of it existed took a serious hit. And the internet, they weren't just watching anymore, they were witnessing something unravel in real time. But just when it felt like everything had already been exposed, something new started creeping into the conversation. Not loud, Not obvious. Just small details that didn't quite add up. Moments that felt slightly off. Statements that hinted at more than what was actually being said. And that's when the tone shifted again, because now people weren't just asking what happened. They were asking, is this the full story? Because what if some of those reactions weren't just emotional, but strategic? What if certain moments were timed not out of impulse, but intention? What if the chaos we all watched wasn't just a breakdown, but part of something bigger playing out behind the scenes? And just like that, the entire narrative flipped one more time. Because now, instead of closure, there was curiosity. Instead of answers, there were more questions. And the craziest part, Karlissa is still at the center of it all, not just because of what she said, but because of the impact it left behind. Blueface and Nevaeh, still unpredictable, still unclear, still keeping just enough mystery alive to make sure this situation doesn't fade anytime soon. Because this wasn't just a moment. This was a shift, a turning point that changed how people see everyone involved. And if even half of those hidden details turn out to be real, then what we just witnessed, now wait a second. Because if you just sat through all that chaos and you're not sitting there like, yeah, something still ain't adding up, then I need to know what timeline you're living in. Because this whole situation with Karlissa Saffold, Blueface and Nevaeh, no, this wasn't just drama. This felt like layers, secrets, and a whole lot of energy that hasn't fully come out yet. So don't just watch and disappear like a ghosty. ROP your opinion in the comments right now. Was Karlissa speaking facts? Or did she take it way too far? Is Blueface low-key stirring everything behind the scenes or just letting it play out? And Nevaeh, is she caught in the middle or part of the reason this whole thing exploded? I'm telling you, the comment section is about to look like a courtroom mixed with a reality show reunion, and I need to see where you stand. And listen, if this video had you pausing, rewinding, or yelling ain't nitrogen monoxide way at your screen, then don't be shy. Smash that like button like it owes you rent money, like it borrowed your charger and never gave it back. Don't tap it, gently hit it with purpose, because the algorithm only pushes videos that people go crazy over. And this right here, certified chaos, make sure you subscribe too. Because if this is what's happening right now, you already know the next chapter is about to be 10 times messier. We don't just cover drama, we break it down, flip it, expose the layers, and bring you the stuff people tried to hide. And trust me, you do not want to be the one hearing about it late. Turn on those notifications so you don't come back tomorrow talking about, wait, I missed it. Nah, not over here. We stay ahead of the drama, we catch the details early, and we connect dots before the internet even realizes what's happening. And before you click off, remember this moment. Because something about this situation still feels unfinished. Like we just watched the beginning of something that's about to get even crazier. Stay locked in. This is Fame Flaws. Fame Flaws.